Hey there, welcome back on the channel. This is Alex from 9X, and we're coming this time with a very exciting 9X Live recording. So 9X Live are our events that are sometimes free, sometimes reserved to our community, where we dive deep into some AI implementation and some topics. We have AI for marketing, prompt engineering for beginners, how to build AI agents without coding. And this time we were joined by one of our former students, Brownrygg Woolls, also called Rick, who's a content expert and has spent the whole year figuring out how to craft the perfect LinkedIn post with AI. And he was sharing all his secrets and his systems in this session. So enjoy the session. You will see Rick is deep into the content rabbit hole, much further than we are. And he's the perfect illustration of what's going to happen in every function. The intersection of deep expertise on the one hand and proficiency in building systems with AI, which leads to things like what you will see in this webinar. Welcome everyone to our exciting workshop, Creating Content with AI with Rick. I will make the introduction in a few minutes. My name is Alex. If you don't know me, I'm one of the co-founders of 9X. Very briefly on who we are, we're building a one-stop shop to learn AI and automation. We believe AI and automation are the most important skills to learn in this decade or in the upcoming years. And we are on a mission to deliver those skills to you on a silver platter. We offer courses, workshops, custom trainings, live events like this one. Some of our customers, they get the AI and Automation Master. This is a course that gives you access to everything we make on the topic of AI and automation. That's already 100 hours plus of course content. You have demos, you have lessons, you have exercises, unlimited access to workshops like this one. And we're planning more stuff in the future, good stuff like a Slack community, and of course, access to everything we make in the future and of advertisements.
Wait,
the objective.
Can I plug you for a second?
Yeah.
So Alex gave me access to their API and webhooks course in the beginning of my journey into the tech part of the content creation. And that was one of the core foundational aspects that let me move so fast in the content production side in Make that I'll be showing you guys today. So like, it's no joke. This is really, really good stuff. And you learn faster than anywhere else that you'll go for this kind of stuff. So highly recommend.
Hey, Rick, my friend. Thank you for that great testimonial. Really appreciate. We're always super, super happy when we have past students that go build amazing things like you do. And yeah, we appreciate compliments from time to time. Now off to the workshop, enough advertising. So a couple of objectives for this workshop. First, Rick, you will see very quickly, is going to expand what you think is possible with AI and content. We're going to be, hey, ChatGPT, can you write me a LinkedIn post? We're going to take this much, much further with his help. He's also going to help us understand the different levels of what he calls a content operator. I love the term operator. And at the end, there's also practical good stuff for you. You will deploy your first own mini content machine. Now, today's special guests and why Rick is the right person for this particular topic. We at 9X are convinced that the best AI operators will combine 3 core skills. So in any field and in content, there is going to be first field expertise. And Rick, it's not the first time or the first year that Rick is building content systems. He's been building and working in content space for now close to a decade. So he has expertise there. He knows what good content is. He knows what a good content system should have as properties. Second is having an experimental mindset. And when we first met, Rick was tinkling with AI systems and trying prompts and experimenting. He's been building content systems for 10 years, and he's been building AI content systems over the last 12 months. And that gives you the big difference between us and him. We don't have time to go as deep as that. We try to teach you AI in general, but if you want to go really, really deep in AI content generation, you have to do the reps and you have to experiment. And that's what Rick did. And finally, technical expertise. He's built that expertise, in particular this year, building AI systems with APIs, with no-code platforms. And so what he is going to show us combines AI models, ChatGPT, Claude, and so on, but also automations and AI agents. And that's why, Rick, you are probably the best to present us the rest of the workshop, and I'll leave that to you. I will unshare my screen. Stage is yours.
My side. Awesome. Thank you so much. Great introduction. And I am humbled. I find myself very lucky with having been able to experiment as much as I have. Give me a sharing options, please, here for a second. So as we get that going, we'll have a few things on the agenda today. First is an introduction to AI content creation. This is me theorizing a little bit and sharing from my experience what it's going to look like for people like yourselves to be able to enter into the AI content space as efficiently as possible. I'm going to try and make this as short as possible because we've got a lot to get into. I've demoed some of the stuff I've done for some people, not as extensively as we'll be doing here, and it takes quite a while. And what you'll find is that it's going to feel very overwhelming at first. You're going to go, oh my gosh, I don't know what's happening. There are all these buttons that I can push and things that I need to do. But I find that this is actually really good in a way once you get over that hump, because what you'll start to see is that the way that we used to create content and the way that we create content now with AI, what's capable, requires almost a different brain function. And we'll kind of get that feeling here in a second when I do our first little initial demo. So we'll go through that. Let me see if I can activate my screen. Yeah, so this is the first section. What is AI powered content? Do you guys remember the three options that you have in any sort of creative processes of making? It can either be cheaper, better, or faster. And then the common understanding is you can only pick two because one of them is going to decrease. This is the first time in our lifetimes that you can get all three without having to sacrifice one because of the step function forward that we have. So AI powered is we're using LLMs to make content better, faster, and cheaper. And you just have to see it for yourself. Like it's challenging to explain it in full until you can see it and feel it for yourself. So we'll just go through an example. And before this whole AI content creation technology came through, what was it like to go to your computer? You're sitting down specifically with LinkedIn here, because all of us are mostly LinkedIn power users, and you see the window, share your thoughts, and you go, oh my gosh, now I have to go through this process of writing something that I think is cool. And now all these rules, right, of how you should write on LinkedIn to become known or to get attention. It has to be a certain format. You have to have a specific kind of hook, and there has to be formatted a specific way. And if you don't have a follow-up comment, then you're going to lose followers, or you're not going to get the attention that you need. And it's just all of this really overwhelming stuff, which made that first step into creating content really, really difficult. Versus now, through the systems that I've been producing for myself, I'll show you a little bit of what the process looks like. So I'm gonna escape out of here for a second, and we're gonna come down to our intro demo. And this is my personal AI content machine. I'm not gonna go through everything. We'll go through more of a demo, but we're just quickly gonna create a LinkedIn post just right here in the next 5 minutes, right? I have a few places here that I can get ideas from. First over here is an influencer idea monitoring space I have of a bunch of my favorite creators. All that I need to do is click Analyze Posts. It grabs their top performing posts and then suggests what content I can create within a very similar format. It comes over here, and I can simply click Generate Content Post, Generate LinkedIn Post, based on this content brief that it's produced based on that content. So I'm not taking their content. I'm using it as inspiration to understand what worked well for them and how I can apply it to mine. So this is one option that I have. Another option that I have is ideas from ICP Content Assistant. So throughout the week, I record an activity log that says, today I spoke to a client about XYZ thing, and we went through all of these different aspects of how you solve this problem. Or today I had a thought about XYZ thing, and this is why I think it'll be helpful to my audience on LinkedIn. And then once a week, I have an AI agent take all of those activity logs and then create content briefs that include hooks, that include the motivator of my ICP specifically. It runs it through my value proposition. It gives me a retaining structure for my content. And then I can either create a LinkedIn post, I can generate a blog post, or I can generate, start the video creation process of me creating a video about this post until I train Gen AI or Hey Gen on my own persona, and then I can just feed it to that part, right? Okay, so let's go through this real quick. Falling behind competitions and AI adoption. We have all these hook options. The reward statement is step-by-step ethical. We're gonna create a custom solution. Okay, so now I wanted to do this. Now, if I go through this in more detail, I can say, all right, I like the top hook most. I'm just gonna delete the rest so that I don't confuse the model. And then we're gonna create a post. This is to say that it's grabbed the webhook and it is running the content. And over here, I've attached it to my to a Telegram bot that guides me through the process of it creating the post for me. So it's creating the LinkedIn post. And once it's been created, it is going to land here in an image post section where I can move through the content creation process from needing review. This is where it's creating the post for me, and I can either approve it or deny it, and I can schedule it in my through my content calendar, which we can get into later. So over here it is. It's already done. It is now creating an image for me that I can either choose to reject or accept or replace with something else. It gives me 5 hooks that I can pick from. It gives me a copy for my post that is done in my voice and my language and optimized for LinkedIn specifically. It gives me my predetermined call to action, and it gives me a follow-up comment, but not just any follow-up comment. This comment is based on this post and is drawing from my previous posts that I've posted and have been approved to go up on LinkedIn. So it is using my knowledge essentially that's been on LinkedIn and then using that to create something new. And then here is the image that it just created. AI spies competitors, creates your content. So sometimes it comes up with stuff like spies. Maybe it's not the right word depending on your audience. We can change that up. But this was created by the system on the back end. So that is a quick, how do you say, look into what it was without AI and what it now could be like with AI when you have the right systems in place on the back end. I'm going to pause over there, and it feels like there might be a little bit of confusion, or if people have questions, I'm gonna give some space for that before moving on.
I have maybe one question or one clarification there. It's very easy to automate that entirely, and instead of you triggering the system based on like, let's say a prompt or some instructions in Telegram, you could also look for trends and have your system generate a post, like generate ready-made posts, and you would just pick from them, right? Like if we push it further, we would be just picking from, let's say, 50 posts every week. You pick the best one or the best 5, and your work is done.
And that's what's beautiful about this is because depending on your unique situation and depending on the constraints of the organization you're working for, how comfortable you are, it could either go straight to creating content, or if you see that after some experimentation, actually the content it's producing isn't aligned with what my audience is looking for, you can create a human in the loop system like we have over here, and then make sure that it does align with the expectations that you have of the content that needs to go out. So these systems now are very flexible to produce exactly the kind of content that you need to get the results required to move your business forward. It's a very exciting time, very exciting time. So some of the benefits of this, we've just discussed them, but to be more specific is that they're measurable. So you literally have variables in terms of prompts that are consistent that you can change in order to change the output. So you have qualitative variables you can test to see what works and what doesn't work, right? So we can create literally 10 posts in a day, see which ones we like the best, and then decide, okay, these ones don't work, these ones work. What makes these work within the prompt? Change the prompt and get closer to getting those right again and again and again. Customizable. Different businesses need different types of content, and you can design these machines or these content engines to produce exactly the kind of content you want. The kind of content Alex needs for 9X is very different than the content that I need for my organization. And so being able to change the type of content that you get is very, very powerful, and to be able to do it consistently, right? Consistency is another key. So once you have a system up and running, you've done the work of getting it to get the results you're looking for. Now you just keep getting into a flow. Every week I sit in front of my computer once a week at some point, and I decide, okay, let's create content for the next week. And it takes me maybe an hour. If I need to create a video, it takes me maybe 2 hours. But before, that process was so daunting that it was completely overwhelming, and I just wouldn't be consistent at all. I'm more consistent now than I have ever been on social media for my own personal stuff. And objective, right? Sometimes we have just really terrible days, or emotionally you're drained or you're tired, and insecurities about whether I should post or whether I shouldn't post, especially for solopreneurs or personal brands, makes the process difficult. But if you have these set variables that know your ICP, that know your value proposition, that know how you need to show up online, it's just a flywheel that you can continue to press, whether you're having a great day, whether you're having a bad day, and you can just maintain this consistency and continue to drive results forward. So these are some of the unheard of benefits that I haven't personally heard very much when it comes to these content creation processes. And it's my belief that people aren't as deep into this as some of the more people who are experts in the content field have been. It's usually like 10x your output. But I'm like, what if your output is terrible and like it doesn't actually get you the results that you're looking for? Why would you want to 10x your output, right? I'd rather 2x or 3x my output with the right kind of content to get the result that I'm looking for, rather than, all these very big and verbose promises that maybe don't get us the results that we're looking for. So challenges that come with these processes and are hallucinations. And we'll go through just 3 main challenges I've seen, and then we're going to go into some of the systems, some of the levels around how we might mitigate these challenges through the systems that we're creating. So as we all know, hallucinations happens. LLMs can generate low quality output because we don't have enough context, or you give them too much context. Within these machines, we can control exactly how much context to give them so that we get the right results every single time, and we don't have to worry about hallucinations anymore. Mapping content processes is complex. It can be a challenge. In our demo today, or in our exercise, you'll see what we mean by this process. But the good thing is, with practice, it becomes second nature. As me and Alex were putting them together, we're like, Alex is like, Brownrygg, for you, it's simple. Like these things make sense because you've been doing this for the last year. But for most other people, it can be quite difficult. And so we're going to walk you through the process of exactly what that looks like. But don't feel overwhelmed. Don't feel challenged, because it's just a skill that you need to learn for you to get over that hump. And then the experimentation point is a benefit, but it's also a challenge, right? Being consistent and not going after the new shiny thing time and time and again requires consistency and impulse control. So this is more challenges on the human side than on the technical side. And as you guys get more and more into the depth of this niche, you'll learn that it's not actually the technical challenges that stop the adoption of getting the benefits of AI. It's the human aspect of it, and the humans that struggle with the change of a new way of thinking, a new way of approaching content. So those are the challenges. I see we're already at 5:30, so I don't want to speed this up, but I'm going to go through these a bit quickly. I'm going to go through the first 2 very fast, and then we'll dive a bit deeper into the last 2, because the last 2 are the ones that we're mostly targeting for to help with in their content journey. So the first one, in terms of the content operator, the first level is the novice, right? So you don't really have a strategy. Posting is whenever they feel like it. They don't really have any systems, very basic usage of AI tools. And usually it's just like an overwhelming and uncertainty feeling. Like they know they have to do it, but Lord have mercy, we don't know where to go from here. Then you have a content adopter, someone who's bought into the idea that, okay, we need to do this. There's a clear advantage if we can get over the hump. The strategy is inconsistent, posting here and there, basic system management. So maybe they have something on a Notion doc, or they open up a Monday board or the free version of Asana, and they're trying to keep track of their work. AI tools is custom. So maybe they've upgraded to ChatGPT Pro, or they've tried Claude, or maybe they're using Perplexity or something like that. And then the team is usually like the solo person, or they have a bunch of VAs or 1 or 2 VAs that are kind of helping them with their business. And then the mindset is like, oh, we have to figure this out, but it's very difficult. And then you have the content manager. And to me, this was the pinnacle. I would say the pinnacle. But if people who knew what they were doing, they were usually on this level where they're mostly consistent with their content. They're mostly consistent with their strategy. They were posting regularly. The systems were moderate to advanced when they were using content systems like Asana or Monday. They had automations maybe going on in the background. Their current AI usage is intermediate, where they're maybe stringing a few different AI tools together to get certain results. They have usually a team of people that they're doing this with, and they're focused but at the same time overwhelmed. I used to work for an AI influencer, not AI influencer, just an influencer back in the States. And we had a team of like 4 people. And even though we were pushing out content every single week, it was always like this, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? We had all these systems in place, but it just felt overwhelming. It felt like we were always behind. It was very frustrating.
It's
Alex.
basically it's high, like at this level you're already very consistent structure, but this is at the cost of grinding basically.
Right. Exactly.
Humans make it happen. Someone falls sick, the whole production chain falls apart.
Yes.
There's a lot of variables to keep in our heads. We need to keep the schedule ahead. We need to make sure the visuals are there on time.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
it did work, but at great cost for the people who were running the processes.
Right. And if you wanted to scale, is a mission. Like you had to change
Yeah.
your processes from the ground up usually, or it grinds to a halt. But now there's a new way. There's a content optimizer that we're calling it. Consistency is high. It's very data driven because we can get a full feedback loop of the content that we're creating from ideation to analytics. We can be posting on multiple platforms with less people. The systems are custom built AI interfaces that I'll be showing you today. You can use stuff like Airtable or something called Softer, which is what I've been experimenting and started developing on. AI usage is advanced. So on the back end, you're using Make to do prompt chaining. You're using agents to get certain things done. The team is lean with AI automation, and there's this understanding of humans do what humans do best, and AI does what AI does best. And together, we can create systems that make us just more efficient and make the process a lot simpler. I will be honest with you guys, this way of operating is still in the development phase. It's still in the development cycle, right? I haven't met any businesses or companies that have figured this out 100%, but we're on the way there. I'll show you a bit here in a little bit, a content machine that I'm busy putting together for a potential client that kind of puts all of these things together, which is very exciting. So, all right, good. 5:30. Questions about different AI content operators, mindsets, better, cheaper, faster, anything on the table?
Anything before we jump into the demos, and Rick will have 3, and we'll dive into one of his content machines. But if there are any questions on what we covered so far,
I put them in the chat. You don't have to wait. Here.
Yeah. Aaron, what does something like this cost for a solo entrepreneur? It's very cool. I can think of a client who needs this.
LinkedIn stack specifically. So it depends. It depends on how much is involved on the back end to put something like this together. And I've been looking at charging anywhere between $3,000 to $4,000 for the development of this. And then also understanding that we can customize this to the organization as it's growing, right? Or I'll be hosting a cohort starting in the beginning of the year where I'll be teaching you guys how to create these for yourselves from the ground up. You'll learn that once you understand the basic concepts, all that you need to do is start adding on to them and then figuring out what works best for you and your organization. You can start building this out. It doesn't need to be as complex as what I've shown you today, especially in the first little bit. That's taken me 5 months to put together, right? So it will take you a lot less time because I'll show you how to do it. So it can be expensive if you're charging somebody else to do it, depending on the business, right? And depending on how involved you want it to be. But it could also be a great opportunity for you to upskill yourself and figure out how to do it, not only for your organization, but maybe you build this for other organizations as well.
And what I can add as well on the software side, you're looking, so if you're on your own and you're trying to build such a system, You will have an Airtable license. So you will usually have a combination of an integration platform like Make or Zapier, which is priced cost per operation, per execution. So you can probably, if you're not using it to generate 1,000 posts every week, can probably look for something between $30 to $50 a month in operations from these systems. Then you will have some cost with the large language models you're going to use. So you're going to use ChatGPT or Claude or another model via API. We'll get to that in the workshop. And there, same, it's going to be per usage. And I think we put 20 euros in Claude in our Claude account in June, and we're still not through in terms of usage. So not so much. And then finally, you have licenses for your database. So depending on where you start. So you could start in Google Sheets. What Rick is going to show is a solution built in Airtable. And for Airtable, I think the price per seat, you're looking at something between $20 and $30 per seat per month. And so you can do the math with a team. If you have 10 people on Airtable, and this is the part that can get more pricey. At the same time, you will see the advantages. You get a custom tool that does exactly what you want and fits your processes.
Mm-hmm. And what I totally forgot to mention as well, Aaron, is that I've developed a customer version of this LinkedIn tech stack that we can give a link to after the presentation is over, where we start off with the very basic voice. We'll show it to you now here in a second, but that starts much cheaper, where we have like a very, very cheap setup fee and then a low monthly fee as well for making sure it gets maintained, and it comes with strategy as well. So it's getting more and more affordable. Alexis has a question. Outside of LinkedIn content, do you have examples for other type of content, such as case studies based on projects from the clients, for example? Yes, I will get into that here in a second. So, all right, let's get into it, shall we? All right, activate page, tools and demos. So this is one of the machines that I'm putting together for a client, and I'll go through this very briefly. So if you have the company, and the knowledge hub is very important. So essentially, it could be a vector database, it could be just a dump of blog posts in an Airtable folder, and on top of this knowledge base, we're putting Make, and Make interacts with the content base through agents at very specific times throughout the process, which you can see over here through these little agent-looking guys. Then on top of that, we have Airtable, which is how we're interfacing with the content that's coming through. And I've divided it into the demos today into the 3 distinct parts of content production, which goes from the pre-production, the production and post-production, and the distribution part. The reason I put production and post-production together is because I'm finding there's like an almost a merging of production and post-production with AI now, where AI can do a little bit of the production and a little bit of the post-production as well, depending on what you're trying to do. So for the first demo that we did, when I click create LinkedIn post, it actually produced the production of the image. I mean, of the copy, and then it also did the post-production of the image. So it took different parts of an image. It took the JSON order that I gave it, and then put everything together, and then delivered it to me. And I could either say yes or no, right? So there's like this weird kind of merging of these two. They used to be very distinctly different, which is a fun thing to learn. So let's get into it. So we'll do the demo one of the pre-production. So this is Alexis. This is an example of pre-production for an Instagram influencer monitoring service that I have built for a customer. So what it does is it scans. Well, what we do is we give it specific influencers that we want to follow depending on the niche that we're in. It then does an analysis of their posts over the last X amount of days. It selects the best performing post out of those days based on their reactions. So how many likes or comments or whatever key metric that you're adding here. It then grabs all of those posts and then does an analysis to understand why the content has done well. And this is not just looking over the caption. It is actually going through and looking at, it's actually reading the image, like doing a description of the image. If there's a caption, if there's a carousel, it's reading the carousel. If there's a video, it takes certain screenshots from that video and then looks into them. If they're talking in the video, it grabs the transcript of the video and then analyzes the transcript and then cross-analyzes it with the caption as well. So it does a full analysis of the content. And then so that's the LLM part. And then it takes that content and cross-references it with my content's value proposition, with their ICP, and then creates a content brief very similar to what we had in the LinkedIn profile, to how they could create something similar within a similar format, but with their content. So over here, we're looking for trends of a specific format that we can then leverage for a specific client. So we'll get right into it. Over here is Instagram, Make, Claude, and Airtable. So this is what the user interface looks like.
Demo time.
Demo time. So my client is into the health and wellness space, specifically in nervous system health. And over here, we have a bunch of influencers that we've already added, right? So we can see these are the people who are doing really well and that tend to have viral posts on their LinkedIn that pop up every now and then. We can click in here and select which ones we would like to monitor, to do an analysis of. So I'll do this one, and we'll do Lauren. And then once we have selected the ones that we would like to be active, we could do all of them as well if we wanted to. Just depends on how many ideas we would like. What it does over here, we'll say get new ideas. I'll click this in a second, but I want to show you guys the make scenario on the bottom that will be running as this goes live. So what we've done is it's created different, levels of maturity of the idea. So there's new. If the idea is within 72 hours, it shows up over here. If it is older than 72 hours, but under 7 days, it is here in the mature section. And if it is vintage, then for this specific client, it's over 10 days old, right? And it pops here. And these automatically get filtered and pushed down depending on what day it is. And so we can keep ideas fresh and moving. If you click into the idea over here, you'll see you can rate it. You can also say, oh, I like this content brief, I'm going to accept it. And the moment you accept the content brief, it shows up here in the accepted content brief section. And then once we click this button, create content brief, it either sends it to a Slack or like a Google Doc or an email to say to the influencer, hey, here are a bunch of really good ideas that you can use to create content for the next week based on content that's already performing well on Instagram, right? So very, very interesting, powerful tool that can be completely customized depending on the needs of your organization, which makes it really fun. So same thing over here. There's a proposed content, there's a media concept, there's a caption structure that you can use, there's a slide recommendation, and here are 10 suggested hooks based on the customized prompt. You'll see that creates high quality hooks, and then also an analysis for why it decided to provide this. And then you also get the piece of content and the original post, and if there was a transcript, we'll give you the transcript and gives you the URL. Whew, that's a lot. Okay, so this is what it looks like, and this is how it works. So we'll do a quick overview, and if this is going to feel overwhelming, I get it, but it's okay, because you don't just wake up and then realize, oh, I'm going to build this thing. This started off very small. It started off with just one very simple, I'm going to get a bunch of posts and put them into a database. And then from there, it went, okay, now that I have these posts and I've put them into a database, I am going to sort them a specific way. And now I'm going to try and figure out how to analyze the posts, so on and so forth. So this is a webhook.
Looks like a spaceship.
Hopefully, yeah. Thank you. It's like a little something out of Star Trek.
Yeah.
So this is the webhook. What happens when we click this button, get new ideas, this webhook gets triggered, and then it runs through a bunch of Airtable tables here, where we're getting prompts. We can get into this a bit later. It grabs the influencers, so it looks at which influencers have been activated, so to speak, and then grabs their information. It then searches for their posts here within this custom HTTP module that I'm using. This is an advanced feature that we can get into the cohort. It's not as complicated as it looks, I promise. It just takes practice. The iterator is a very important function that you'll have to learn if you want to go dive deeper into this world. And essentially what we're doing over here, we're just filtering all the posts according to what we see in the eventual outcome. So each one of these routes is analyzing a specific piece of content, right? So this one up here is analyzing just a very basic image post. This one is analyzing a carousel. So it downloads the whole carousel, individually analyzes each image, analyzes each image according to the specific instructions that I've given, and then uploads it into our Airtable base. This analyzes a video that doesn't have a transcript, and this analyzes a video that does have a transcript. And this, if this transcribes the video, we won't have to get into the details. It's going to take too long. But there are a lot of nuances with Instagram content that took me a long time to figure out. That I'm very glad we got to it. Anyway, so I'm going to press the button, and then we'll see it get a move on. Save changes. So sometimes it takes a while, and you see it's running over here, which is great. Knock on wood, everything goes well. All right, so you see that it analyzed what got the hook, analyzed one of the influencers. It figured out that the first post that it was going to analyze is a video. I think this is an image. Was it an image? Yeah. So this is a video that doesn't have a transcript that we can analyze. So we grab a couple of images from the video to get a best understanding of what the post is about. It runs it through the analysis process and then uploads it into Airtable. And we can see it's over here. So this is it. Proposed content approach, transform the burnout focused message into a powerful narrative about breaking free from food shame cycling using the same contrast between chaos and peace. We have a media concept. And of course, like if we don't like this, we can say, not for us. We don't have this capability, the time, the whatever to go into this. But what makes it really nice is that you can get so many and be able to parse out as many as possible to be able to get that. And then here is the attached image that it was analyzing. And then we can also see exactly where it was. See that if one of the modules in here, we might as well get into it since we're doing the demo, is this determines whether or not, well, this module over here determines whether or not the transcript is aligned with the video or the message, because sometimes there's just music in the background, or sometimes there's lyrics that have nothing to do with the actual post. And so I had to figure out how to get around those things. And so there are a few little tricks that I employed to make sure that happens. If you can see, we also have a post, and every now and then we have an overload error. So this is really good to know. This is, if we're going to play in this space, it's important to understand that we're using third-party tools. And when you use third-party tools, especially over cloud infrastructure, which means we're calling Anthropic or we're calling OpenAI to run these things, every now and then you're going to get an issue. And for Claude, it's unfortunately an overloaded error, which means that their servers are getting so many requests that sometimes they cannot service the one that you have. And so that's why we have these error handlers that say, okay, we're going to take a break and we're going to try again in 5 minutes. And then there are ways for us to communicate that to the clients as well. And this one is currently going through an album. It has a lot of images. And so it'll do that analysis and then add it to our thing. So looks like over here, some of the posts that they're analyzing have already expired over the new time frame, right? So they've already been filtered here into the mature section because of when they were posted. So yeah, that is this specific demo, and we are 46, so we need to catch a move on here.
Super cool. I will just mention one thing on the brief. I think like if you're working in content, maybe you're familiar with those different sections. Like for me, it's very new. Like you have a lot of things, and this is the part, like this is the field expertise that is brought into the system. This is something that a developer who doesn't know anything about content, or myself, I'm not a content expert, will never come up with these things. And these are things that you can fine tune, adjust with your prompts, with your systems. And that is the way Rikk sees content generation. Like if I want to generate a post, this is the entire brief and what it should contain. But it's entirely up to you to create a simpler or more complicated system based on what you want. And that's the freedom we're looking for there.
Right. And remember, one of the objectives here is to show you what's possible. So I am going a bit overboard, and it might feel a bit overwhelming, like I mentioned before. But it is 100%. If I can figure it out, then you guys can figure it out. Like, I am no genius, that's for sure. Okay, so that's demo one. And like to Alexis's question, so this is one system that I've created for another system I've created for a client. Actually creates a different kind of content brief, and then from that content brief, we can then create a how do you say, a production flow similar to what we have in LinkedIn. And what we've designed for him is when he uploads a video that he's talking, it uses the transcript of that video and then creates a caption for Instagram that we can then automatically schedule to send to Instagram from the Airtable interface. So this is just one small, in the very beginning part of a very large process that we could go down to say that let's create multiple different kinds of content based on these ideas, right? So again, we have to start to challenge ourselves to change the way that we're thinking about content and what's possible when we start to put together all of these different kinds of capabilities, which is very exciting for me. It's like I'm a kid in a candy store.
Second demo
second demo. Yeah. Sorry. Let's come back over here and see. So second demo.
An advanced version of what I built for myself. Much more advanced.
So we have a voice to LinkedIn post creation. Okay, great. So we're going to go from my Telegram bot to the integration platform, which is Make. We're going to analyze that content to produce something new. We're going to grab my previous posts using ChatGPT, and then we're going to put it in Airtable. So how that looks like, as we already saw, I created a post. This time we're going to do it from Telegram. So we're just going to go ahead and create an idea. Let's see what kind of a great idea. For idea, today I'm so excited to be performing, that's not the right word, to be presenting what is possible with AI and in the content creation space with my good friends at 9X. We're going through what it looks like to change our frame of reference from what used to not be possible to what is possible now, and how we can serve our clients better and our businesses to make them more efficient moving into the future. So what this is going to do, it's going to auto-classify that this is an idea. It is going to run it through my ICP and my value proposition to say, to create what is called a refined idea that I can then use and change as a human in the loop system to continue down the content creation path, right? Another thing that you can do with this system is do a video. Look like such a caveman. But you can do a video and then it creates a video with subtitling and everything moving forward. So it is logging the response and it should show up over here under enhanced voice idea. I know we're running out of time, so I'm just going to move forward and look at this one. For idea, if you've only been on the fence about how you can use AI to streamline the increased efficiency. Oh, so this is the post that I created yesterday to promote this event specifically. We'll go ahead and create the blog post. Exact same process as before. Let's see. As you can see over here, still logging the response. So it seems like I think it's taking a bit longer than usual. So Claude is likely getting another overload error from my side, which is okay. We can just use an old idea. And then from there, it is going to go through the process. So I'll go over what this looks like in Make. As you can see.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's a little bit overwhelming.
Whoa.
It's okay. Let's see here. Yes. So over here, we can see we got an error. overloaded error, which is okay. Let's go back and see if it grabbed the second one. All right. Thanks, Claude. All right, let's try a different one and see if Claude will overload that one as well.
But basically, your process is in 2 steps. So the voice node is going to generate an idea, which is going to be stress tested. So you have like maybe something spontaneous is going to think, well, let's rephrase the brief based on the ICP, based on your goals, based on everything we know.
Correct.
And step 2, it lands in content ideas. You have the brief that's suggested, and then with one button, you can create the LinkedIn post out of it.
Correct. Yeah. Beautiful summary. And I would love to show you guys how it runs through the process. So I'll break this down for you so it's not as overwhelming. Essentially, what's happening here is, and I haven't showed this to anybody, so this is like fresh eyes for people on just about everywhere. Yay, so it's finally creating the image. Hopefully, let's see if we can catch it in running through. It's not falling. Let's try refresh.
And for context, this is the post you are generated, right? This is not the voice note into an idea. What you want to show us now is the idea with briefing
LinkedIn post.
Okay.
Correct. Yep. Okay. No. Okay. No worries. All good. So what's happening is it's grabbing the voice note. It is categorizing it to make sure to see what it is. So each one of these roots over here is a different kind of piece of media that's getting created. So these two up here are videos. So if I upload a certain kind of video, it's going to run through these and create a specific template and then also give it subtitles. So I don't have to do any of that post-production anymore. I just upload a video in one take and it does everything for me according to the template that I've set. This one over here creates a blog post or a newsletter. I have yet to refine this one to use it consistently, but it essentially does a web search based on my topics. It also searches all of my previous content and then uses those as outlines to create a newsletter or a blog post, and then creates a LinkedIn post promoting the blog post all in one run that I can then, of course, edit. This one over here creates LinkedIn posts, and I have 3 different options of the kind of creative that it creates. So over here, I have a randomization function that then selects what kind of creative to produce based on the specific idea or based on the specific post that's getting created. And then the one down here is a personal story. So if I say a personal story, it's running it through a few different other templates that give me a different kind of output. So each one of these is running, and this is just saving the idea and refining it and then putting it into the database. Let's see if the image came through. The latest one looks like it did. Yes. Okay. Wrong expert ruins everything. We can always play with these outputs to make sure they're what we're looking for. The hidden pitfall in hiring automation experts that could derail your entire strategy. I love to continue to refine these as well. And as you refine them, you'll find that you also get better as a content producer to understand what works and what doesn't work, which is great. Over here, we just got another message saying that it's refining the voice idea. So the overloaded error that we had earlier is now getting resolved because of the error handling function that we added and is getting produced. We're not losing that piece of content or context. So what are we, 56? All right, yeah, we should move forward. Any clarification here, Alex, that we should add?
Yeah, like maybe on so how do we go about building a system like this? You should start with a one post format, one content format, and then as you go, you add up the ones that you're trying to do. Like, how did you end up with a system like that? It's more like one branch after another.
Right. So it started off very small. It started off with just this Telegram getting the input and then running it through one specific output over here. So this was literally the first branch that we had. And then once I got to this branch, I was like, man, people who are doing these other kinds of posts seem to be doing really well. I bet I could replicate something like that, but for my brand specifically. What would that look like? Okay, well, let's change up some of the visuals that I'm creating to align with something interesting that I've seen on that side. And so I try with one template using a tool called Banner Bear, which allows me to programmatically create content. And then I use AI to help me produce the words that I can then send to the templates, right? And then I go, okay, this is a nice one, but we need a little bit of variation. So what's another thing? Oh, people who share personal stories also, it seems to be doing really well on LinkedIn. So let's create a personal storytelling flow that is aligned with my brand and what people are looking for. And so we do that, and so on and so forth. And you keep building, and that's what I mean by it being very customizable, right? Because you can build it and go, we've run this now 10 times without me needing to do nearly as much work as before, and it's not working. So maybe let's try a different prompt, or let's try a different approach, or maybe my value proposition isn't landing, right?
Super cool.
Little by little.
One more question from Jan, I think goes in the process you just described, because you mentioned also the advantage is we can measure and iterate and test variables. How do you go about testing the prompts, the different prompts? Do you do that directly in this scenario? So let's say there's one of these modules going to change the prompt, run it, look at the result. Or do you also do things directly in ChatGPT or Claude UI? What is your process there to test?
I do everything in Make, because usually when I try to go through Claude, through their UI or ChatGPT, custom ChatGPT, they have prompts, like system prompts that are different on the UIs than what on the APIs. And so you're not always going to get that same consistent output that you're looking for because of these system prompts that you don't have control over. So I'm a big fan of just testing it in the environment that I will be using it in. And then I put like, there's a very simple prompting framework that I use, that we'll get into here in a second in the actual exercise, without overcomplicating it, right? And then you just figure out what works and what doesn't work. And if it aligns, and it does, and if it doesn't, you change it up. It's as simple as that. All right, last demo. So we did the pre-production, we did the post-production, post-production. Now we're going to do the distribution part. What I've done here is created a system that auto posts my LinkedIn scheduled LinkedIn posts to LinkedIn. But as we all know, LinkedIn hates it when you actually schedule stuff. It decreases your reach dramatically. And so I only use it if I have to, and if I know that something is happening or I want to stay vigilant. So I set up a scheduling protocol for when I was on vacation for 2 weeks, and I got not nearly as much reach, but at least I was there and I was present, right? So I was like, well, I still would like it to ping me when I need to post something. And so what I've done over here is in the calendar section over here, I can select exactly when I would like for it to go out, right? But then there's a little button over here that says don't auto post. And if this is clicked on, all that I do is I get a message from my Telegram bot to say, hey, your content is ready. You can view the post over here. And here is a follow-up comment that I can use. So while I'm doing work at the computer, it's almost like a schedule, but it's like a manual soft schedule where I get a message from my content assistant to say, hey, it's time for you to schedule your thing. Here it is. And I quickly go ahead, I schedule it, and I like it. I copy and paste the first comment, and it works. This is what it looks like with the make scenario on the back end. It looks confused. Oh, and so I don't want to go on a tirade, but the make scenarios that we're seeing proliferate YouTube specifically, of like, you can automate your whole content thing and just send it, there's one module that sends that one post to Instagram and then to Facebook and then to X and then to LinkedIn. I don't know if they've actually ever used those things, because this is what my scheduling system looks like, that takes into account all of the different variables required to actually make it work. Alexis, thanks for being here. So the reason that you look confused, Alex, is because I tried to turn this into a face. Can you see it now? Yeah, there you go. That's better. So
it's
on the
make scenario art.
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
It's like
we have the spaceship, and you have the I don't know what is this, like an explosion or something.
no, it's a face. It's a face. Here's the nose. Here's the lips. Here's the head. The forehead. You see? Anyway,
Okay.
yes, it's Elon Musk. Exactly. Thank you, Jan. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, but then it should be some
with the
X
heat.
modules.
So
Sure.
over here, if I've selected, yes, I want you to auto post it, it runs through this scenario or this route that that auto posts it. And so each of these is if I want to create an image post. This is if I want to create, I think, a carousel. This is if I want to send a video, right? This is if I only want to send a text message and not a post. And so there are so many variables and details when it comes to actually trying to schedule these things out. It's not as simple as, oh, here's the thing that I'm just gonna, I'm gonna send it through and then everything's gonna be fine. You have to take a lot into consideration. So anyway, that's if I actually want to send it to Instagram. And this is if I don't want it to send to Instagram and I want to send it to my Telegram bot so that it reminds me to go ahead and post it. And that is the demo. So let's see. Let's do let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and post this one over here today. We'll make sure that it is for Wednesday, and then we'll schedule it for now-ish 6. Or actually, you know what? Let's do a so while we're doing the exercise, hopefully it runs. We'll do 6:30. So we set it up so that once it gets into 5 minutes within this time frame, then it will auto schedule it. So there it is. Okay, great. Your content is now ready. Here you can use it. And then I can just upload it into LinkedIn and it's ready to go. So all right, those are the 3 demos. Now it is time for us to run our exercise. All right, sorry, I skipped through this one. Oh, the other thing that's important to add is that you can either send it to Slack or you can send it to Telegram like I have, or if you're working in Slack like the 9X guys are, you can automatically send it to Slack to say, hey, you should really go ahead and post this thing, or hey, I've posted on this thing, go ahead and comment this comment, right? Depending on which platform. Some don't care that you schedule, some do. Just depends on how well you know your systems. So that's a great thing to add. Thanks. All right, workshop. Let's get into it. How do you want to run this, Alex? Do we go step by step through
we share yes, I think it's best if you build step by step, where you can say a few words about like what are we going to build here.
Yep, sure. So what we're going to do now is we have prepared a little exercise that you guys can deploy your own little mini content engine. So what I'm going to give you is something that I've never given anyone before, and that is the prompts that I use and how I set up the modules to create high quality LinkedIn posts from an idea through to posting it. Through to a completed upload into Airtable. We're not going to get into the Airtable section today because we're running a bit out of time. It's a bit complex, but we're going to go through it anyway, and then you can follow along with the YouTube recording.
So we'll give you so you have anyway access to this. We're going to do step 1, 2, 3 now, which are going to take an input. There's already a prompt entered by the Rick. This path is going to refine the idea, and you will see like three instructions sent to Claude. And we won't have these 2 parts connected, but basically this is, if you don't have this connected, everything stays in Make. So you're automating, sure, the steps of the content creation process, but it stays in Make. It's probably not the best place you want the content to live or to end. And basically, the rest of the scenario, when you are going to add it, connects to an Airtable base, and that is the second part, which we'll probably cover just here, like showcase, but we won't have time to do slowly. Where there's an Airtable base that Rick created with two tables. We have like first ideas and second LinkedIn post. And this is where we're going to store the output. and we explain how to connect this Airtable base to the rest of the scenario. There's a bit of a API connection to establish the first time, but basically, in the end, you should see your LinkedIn post and your idea that were generated, not stay in the make scenario, but rather being displayed in this Airtable base right here. Too much scrolling. Yeah, right here. So you will have like the title, the content brief, the original idea, and on the other side you will have the post that is in the other table. So let's go through it. Maybe Rick, I think you share your screen. You can go about building step by step. I have the tutorial in front of me, and we can go through it slowly.
Okay, slowly being the key.
Yeah.
If I'm going too fast, just let me know. Okay, so everyone should have a Make account. It's free, and I believe that Alex can provide a link to
we'll
get you
share the link
signed in.
again. I'll share the link again in
Pop
the
it
chat.
here in the chat.
People should have received it per email shortly before the workshop, but in case you don't have a Make account, here it is again. Again, problem with my.
And then maybe we can also add the JSON file into the chat as well for the scenario.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to sign up for Make, and you'll get you get free operations. You can quickly sign up to there. This is the integration platform we will be using, and the JSON file. So instead of building the scenario from scratch, Rick has prepared the scenario, and you just import it at the first step of the tutorial. And there, JSON file, download it again.
Awesome. Okay, we'll get started.
You think we can get started?
Yeah. Once you're in your Make scenario, or your Make platform, go ahead and click on Create a New Scenario, and we can just go ahead and build from scratch, since we'll be uploading what's called a blueprint. And all a blueprint is a bunch of modules that I've already created that you can start using immediately, which is great. We just have to connect the modules to the accounts necessary, and we've got everything set up for you guys. So once you're over here, best practice is always to name your scenario, especially if you start experimenting with new ones. So go ahead and add this one. Say this is the 9x workshop. Very good. And then down here, there are these three little dots. We're going to click on these three dots and import blueprint. Now, wherever you save this blueprint, most likely in your download section, especially if you grabbed it either from the chat or from the website, go ahead and choose the file and select the AI content operator Make scenario exercise. Hopefully I spelled exercise right. And then we'll save it, and voila, we have everything we need to do this. I'm going to go ahead and unlink these guys, since we won't be running them here within this first part of the scenario, of the exercise. And let me run through this a little bit before we hop into connecting Make and running our first iteration. So what we've done is created a variable over here, or a module that has multiple different variables. And these are simulating what I've created in my scenarios, where there's a either a webhook or a prompt library, or a Telegram bot input from my voice. And so over here, we can call this the idea. So if I spoke an idea into a Telegram bot, this is essentially the context that would be entered into the system. And what these are doing are creating variables that we will then enter into these different modules to get us a high quality LinkedIn post. And the reason that there are so many different modules is because I've broken up the content creation process into very simple, easy to follow steps for the LLM in order to get consistent results again and again. When I first started the process, I would try give an LLM all of the most complex steps just in one run, and it would always be weird. It would give me something strange, or something that didn't make sense, or something I didn't ask for. But I realized that if I was creating curated context packets and told it to just run the insights from my ICP, and then using another prompt to create a content brief with those insights. And then using this insight to create an idea, I would get a really well aligned piece of output that was exactly what I was looking for, because I was able to control the nuances in the prompts from module to module. And so once we have a fully formed idea that we can use, we can then go into creating a LinkedIn post. And what I found works best for me in my process is I split it up into 4 different modules. And the first one is creating the LinkedIn structure. So I give it the idea and I give it a nice robust prompt that says, this is what a really good structure looks like. This is how I want you to write. This is my tone of voice. And so it's essentially the first draft of a content post. Then I grab that post and I say, okay, now based on this post, I'd like you to provide me with a bunch of hooks according to this training. And then once we have this, these hooks, I combine the first structure, the hook structure, and then I go through a third filtering module, which then makes sure that the posting structure that it first came up with is fully aligned with LinkedIn best practices, and it incorporates what it thinks is the best hook into the post itself. And then based on this post that's usually 95% ready to post, it then grabs a first comment based on this post, depending on the prompt that we're giving it. What we haven't added in here on my system is I go to ChatGPT and an assistant, and it looks through all of my previous posts, and then based on the LinkedIn post that it's suggested, it then creates a follow-up comment. But for here, we'll just create a comment based on a follow-up comment based on this post. So you guys can see
Just
kind
on
of how it
the
works.
tactical side, Rick, the first comment is something you post right away. Is it something you post in the first hour? Like, what's the best practice
Just
here?
right away. Just
Okay.
right away. Yeah. I mean, sometimes within 10 minutes if I forget or I get distracted, but I try not to. If
Okay.
I get too anal about it, it just takes me forever, and then I get, you know, overwhelmed. And so I just
Okay.
do it and then I move on. Okay. So these inputs will include the content brief structure. So this is how we'd like the content brief to come out, right? We give it a nice long prompt. And we have the value proposition. All that I did here was copy and paste my bio from LinkedIn, which I've iterated and refined to share what I'd like to offer the people that come to my LinkedIn post. And then finally is my ICP. And this has also, I created a Claude project that gives me a really robust, fine-tuned ICP, but it doesn't have to be crazy fine-tuned. It could just be, these are the people that I'd like to serve, this is their struggles, and then that's it. So these are all variables that you can play with on your side. You can change these to be whatever you want. And that's part of the fun here, is like, once we're done with this exercise, you can come in here and delete and reform and refine and see how you can mold these prompts to get you exactly what you're looking for. Okay, that's enough of how this works. Let's get into connecting. I see Alex has a question.
Maybe, yeah, just is anyone struggling with that step? So you should see this if you have created a new scenario in Make and import the blueprint. Yes, Brittany has a question.
Yeah.
Go.
Sorry, I was creating my Make account, but I'm in now. I'm trying to figure out how to upload the file that you guys dropped
Yeah,
out.
let's show that again. Let's show that again then.
Sure. So I'll go ahead and I'll just discard. So can you see my screen, Brittany?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we'll go create new scenario. Have you found this page first of all?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a scenario tab over here to the left, and we're going to create a new scenario. Good to go? Sweet. And then we'll just name this whatever is the most appropriate, best practices. So I'll just say 9x AI content. All right. And then over here on the very bottom, there are these 3 dots right next to the little magic wand. We're going to click on that guy, and we're going to click import blueprint over here. And then what you'll need to do is download the blueprint. We have it here in the chat over here. you can download that guy. This will most likely land in your downloaded file on your computer.
Okay, yeah, I got it uploaded.
Got it?
Thank you.
Sweet. All right.
Then import.
Import, make it work. We
Then
can go
you
ahead
could go from
and
there.
disconnect this one over here. So what you do is you right click on the little node and then just select unlink. And we'll do the same over here with get ID. We're going to unlink that guy. And then just move it over to the side.
So we stop at on the 2 branches, we stop at all the Claude modules, like the Brown Anthropic modules.
Mm-hmm.
Could you show that last step again? Sorry, Rick. You right click.
All good, no worries. So we over here, we right click and then select unlink.
Okay, I don't know why that.
Or over here. So if you don't click on the bubble itself, there's like another selector where you see it now it's selecting the main module and now it's selecting the connector. And so
okay.
Once you select the connector, you'll get a different option set versus the actual module. So the connector set, unlink.
Got it. Okay.
Sweet. Thanks for asking the question.
Thank you.
Sweet. Okay, now what we'll need to do is connect our make account to this module. And what we've done is provided you with, okay, so what we're going to do, first of all, we'll click on the module and then we'll click create a connection over here. And if you have multiple different connections, you can change the name, but we can just leave it the same. And you're going to need an API key. And thankfully, we have one just for you guys that we can use to experiment. Alex, if you can put that in the chat, then we'll be able to copy and paste. This will be available for the next hour or two because this is my personal one. So I'm gifting you guys with some free tokens to experiment with. But unfortunately, it won't be available forever. What we'll do is add a bit more instruction on how you can get your own make account, and then you can play as much as you want.
So I pasted it in the chat. So this is this long string of characters.
Yes. So we're going to copy that guy and then paste it in here. And then over here, if I unlook, if I unhide, you'll see this is the string from SK all the way to AAA. Any questions here or confusions?
That's like for those who have never made an API call or never done this before. That is like providing your password to an application, except when you provide your email and password, you're using the GUI, the graphical user interface. And when you are interacting with APIs, the API key, I'm simplifying because there's other parameters, but the API key is the password you need to provide. So it's unique to your account. So here we're accessing Rick's account. So whenever you're going to make request, it's going to be on the house. And what we will add to the tutorial is how you can get your own account, your own key, and swap it after the workshop. But basically, that's all you need to call a ChatGPT or Claude online or via an API is to have this key ready and then paste it in these modules.
Sweet. All right, I'm going to hit save. And it's going to do some thinking. And then we're good to go.
So what do we see here, Rick? What are like with so many parameters here?
Yes. So this is where the magic happens. This allows us to control what the AI is getting and what we want to get in return. We're not going to get into all of the parameters right now because it can be overwhelming at first. But first of all, let's go ahead and select Haiku over here. These are the different models that Anthropic has available. Haiku is the fastest one, and it also tends to be give us less overloaded issues because it is not used as often as Sonnet, which is its most capable model. But for what we're doing, and because we've been smart and selected very curated context packets for each process, it doesn't need to do a ton of processing for complex instructions, right? So we'll select Haiku. Max tokens is just how much output it is going to provide. 4,000 is the maximum. We won't be using 4,000, but we put it there just so that there's no issues. And then over here under messages, this is how we're communicating with the LLM. So there's a certain protocol that is required for communicating with any LLM. And that is the user needs to make a prompt or a request, and then the assistant or the LLM will then give a response. And since we are only going to ask it a question, we're going to prompt it. That's all that we need to do over here. So this is essentially, once you get into a Claude module or a ChatGPT module, the first little bubble is what we're inserting over here, right? But this looks a bit different, right? Because over here, there's this weird purple thing that's an idea. And the reason that this makes sense is because we've got a system prompt over here that we've created that gives it everything that it needs to know to give us the output that we're looking for. So we'll read the system prompt. You are the go-to expert for the client's ICP. Your job is to search for relevant information about the ICP when requested. Answer which with as much detail as needed. Here is my client's ICP, and then here is the information about my client. So what's doing here is grabbing the ICP here from the output over here, variable 4, and it is grabbing the value proposition from our output over here, right?
And so when our variables change, our prompts change, and then you get the idea. If you want to generate a different LinkedIn post with the same prompt in the chat, you will have to write it again or copy paste or adjust. That thing is doing this dynamically for you. And that's why those variables are going to change in terms of value, and the prompt with it will change. That's why it's a much better system. If you're clear on your prompts and your structure, then you can systemize it, you can automate it.
Correct. Exactly. ICP stands for sorry.
Ideal customer profile.
Ideal customer profile. Yes.
Your avatar, the target customers.
Target audience.
Yeah. The people you want to talk to, you want to speak to.
Yes. See, Claudia's typing. Okay, no problem.
So, for example, if I make posts about AI and automation, and I go more on the technical side, my ICP is probably going to be more all the automation freelancers, the automation agencies, people who are deep into that. But it's going to not resonate so much with people who are really beginning with AI and are afraid of tech. If I switch my ICP to non-techies, and my goal is to make the most people go from 0 to 1, my language will change. And like, this is one of the variables that we are going to that we can test with those systems. We can address different target segments.
Exactly. So if we go here to what we're asking it here to get the insights is, here is the content idea. And remember, we've already prompted it over here to look for the relevant information. And we ask here, please find a symptom, fear, frustration, or goal or aspiration that addresses this idea best. So it's going to grab this idea, which is variable, remember? So every time we run this, it'll technically be from a different idea or a specific insight that I would like to provide my audience. It's going to run it through this prompt to give us an insight. And then it's going to go to, it's going to take this answer.
Okay. Yeah,
I do need to press OK, so we can save it. Yeah, OK. This is a bit annoying, but we'll have to choose an account for every single one of these modules as we're going through them, because we uploaded the whole thing at once, right? If you're already in the system and you're already linked, then it automatically connects it for you. So from here, we're going to create a content brief. And it says, you are a professional content idea creator. You'll receive a piece of content that you should use as a foundation for an idea. To effectively do your job, follow these rules exactly. And we give it a bunch of rules. We don't have time to go into the details of it now, but you'll have this to be able to read through yourself. So essentially just giving it the instructions for how we want the content brief positioned to us or to our clients in order to produce a result. And then this is also gets fed to our next route over here for it to know, okay, based on this idea, this is the ICP's motivator. So fear, frustration, goal, symptom, so on and so forth. And this is how we want you to structure the post in order for it to be a high quality post, right? So over here, we're feeding it the idea, which is the original idea. So it has context of what the idea is. Claudia, you look so confused. I'm sorry. Call me. Just hit me up on LinkedIn whenever you need to. You're good. All right. And then we're putting the insight from the previous module into this this area over here, and then we tell it to take a deep breath, think step by step, and then we're good to go. So this one, we've decided not to give it system instructions, and maybe that was a bad idea. I don't know. Maybe we would get better outputs if we did give it a system instruction. But this is where the experimentation process comes in, and what works best for you and your customer, right? Idea title, very, very simple. When you're running this in Airtable, just having a headline with the idea title just makes it easier to navigate through the different ideas that you have. So just a user interface idea. You're an expert titler, give it a 6-word title, make sure it follows these instructions or you fail. Usually when you tell it it's going to fail, it doesn't do the thing that you asked it not to do. We get to maybe see the final post first. See where we can see the context. Maybe I missed. Sorry. No, that's actually a great insight. So the final result is going to look something very similar to what we have over here. Sorry, loading. So this is what we're going towards, this output. From the idea, from the post. Is that what you meant?
But the output is already ready to post.
Yes.
LinkedIn
So
post.
we'll go ahead. We can go ahead and run these. Make sure these are all connected.
And so at the bottom, you already mentioned it. First, it ideates on the structure for the post, and it comes up book. Then the LinkedIn post formatting is really putting everything together into the finalized post, and then it's also coming up with the first comment. So once we've collected all of these modules, of course the prompts can be customized, and those are your variables. The inputs can be customized, and those are your variables. But basically, and this is where we will stop for the tutorial and instructions here. We are good to go. Like we can run this and generate based on different inputs. We can run this and generate a LinkedIn post.
Right. This is an important step. So I'm gonna go over time because I think this is very important to give context. Is in this one specifically, the LinkedIn structure creation, we have a system prompt over here that gives specific rules for what a structure looks like and why a structure is good. So you are an elite LinkedIn post ghostwriter. What makes you elite is you're able to generate specific lexical structure for the idea presented. And remember, the idea is essentially this output that we're getting from here. And then within the actual prompting structure, we're giving it some guidelines of what a LinkedIn voice sounds like for me specifically. So we give it positive writing characteristics. We give it negative writing characteristics. And we say what it shouldn't say. Sometimes it ignores me anyway. And which is why we have a human in the loop system so that we can catch those faux pas. And then we have an ideal post format for what I would like my posts to look like based on previous posts that have done well, right? So we give it a detailed description of the spacing, special character use, post length, and then we give it examples of the 5 posts that have done really well in the past or that we would like to emulate, right? And then now that it has all of this context, we say, here's the idea that I would like for you to turn and structure into the training that we've just provided you. And then from there, we're going to take that information and just say, here's the post with a hook. The system prompt over here is training on what the difference is between weak and legendary hooks, right? And we give it a bunch of examples, and then we give it a bunch of rules of exactly what kind of hooks we would like. These specific hooks for LinkedIn are very different than the hooks that I use for Instagram for my clients, because it's a different platform and people are looking for different things. So just slapping the same thing on all the posts for all the platforms doesn't make any sense. You're not going to get the results that you're looking for.
Then it's not enough to say weak and legendary. And one of the best practices in prompting is to follow with examples of what good looks like, what not so good looks like, to be very explicit, just like you would be with a person that's just starting their career in copywriting, and you show them, Look at this. This is a great, great copy. That's a legendary hook. And that's the reason why. And look at that.
Right.
It's not so good. And it's not really delivering here because.
Precisely. Yeah. And that's what we've done here in this prompt. And then this one over here combines the two, right? So it's grabbing, well, first we go to the system prompt. You're a copy hook integrator. Your job is to follow the instructions so you can get a tip and do a great job. You get better results if you give it a hypothetical tip, if it does a good job. It's funny, but it works. Here are the rules. Grab the hooks, make sure you integrate them into the system, and make sure it follows the instructions, essentially. So then in the actual prompt, you will say, here is the post, here is the hook, and then it combines the two to give us the final post. And then for the first comment, we're going to grab the post, the finalized post. We're going to share the idea with it, the primary idea, and then we say, we want you to write this way. So we're giving it my voice again, my style and tone of voice. And then we say, based on that post, give us a follow-up post that will serve our audience best, right? And here are the different rules in our system prompt that follows what would be valuable to our audience. And then we're good. So this is what it takes to create a high-quality LinkedIn post. But once you've set it up, all that you need to do is do this. So what it's doing now, it's grabbing the original idea. It's getting insights from my ICP that it knows exactly who it is. Once it's done that, it is going to take those insights. It is going to draft a content brief, which is an idea that we can then use. From here, it is titled the idea. It grabs now the idea. It puts it through the LinkedIn structure. It automatically has training on exactly what tone of voice to use, other prompting, other posts that have done really well. It creates the hooks. It is now combining the hooks and that post. It is now creating the first comment. And if we had these Airtable modules hooked up, they're going to be very neatly displayed for us to select what we'd like to use and what we wouldn't like to use. And if we wanted to change something, we come over here and we just change the idea, or we change the content brief, and then we're going to see those results show up. So now once this has been run, these little bubbles on the top over here show us that it has run one operation, and we can click in here. You have an input section and you have an output section. The input section will help us debug if something goes wrong. We can see exactly what we put into the system over here. So over here, we would have variables, right? Over here, we can see exactly what the variable was. So here is the content idea, which is the first prompt. And then you have the system prompt over here that fills out the ICP that was just a variable within the module itself. And so we can see exactly what information it grabbed. Sometimes we map things the wrong way and we don't get the results that we're looking for. So this helps us see exactly what context packets were placed and why we're getting the results that we're getting. And then if we click on output over here by the content button, we can click on the plus button, click on the text button, and then over here we can see, let's analyze the content idea, get the ICP and find the most relevant match. And it shows you exactly what it decided to grab based on the context that we gave it. From here, it then uses those insights to create the content brief. And so again, we can come over here to the input and see exactly what context it grabbed based on how we structured the prompt. And then the output that we got. So usually what I do is I just come directly to the output. I read it, I go, this is terrible. And then I figure out why it was terrible. It's either my prompting wasn't good or I put in the wrong context packet for the wrong output. So over here we have the idea, the post idea, crack the LinkedIn algorithm, 3-step strategy to transform your content from invisible to irresistible. We have the motivator. So this one specifically, it said that the symptom is very much aligned with the idea. Gives me the reward structure, the wow structure, the retain structure. And if we put this into the Airtable table, then we'd be able to select whether or not we want to accept it or move it forward. But for our demo today, we're just showing you how it all kind of links together in one long string. So continuing our journey of creating the post. So assuming that we've said, yes, we love this idea, we want to run forward with it, and it doesn't require human in the loop system, we can click on this over here. Again, we can check the messages and the system prompt to see how it's worked. Click on content and see, based on the idea, it has decided that this is a good post. LinkedIn's algorithm decoded your 3-step to success. Look, most people are throwing content ideas into the void and wondering why nobody cares. Here's the real deal about LinkedIn success. It's not about your luck. It's about your strategy. Very good. It takes that post, creates hooks from it over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we can change the structure and the formatting of these hooks as well if it feels a bit confusing. I've gotten used to it, so I just stick with it. And then here's the final post format where it takes the hook and it takes the post and then puts them together. So create a master these 3 pillars to build audiences that actually convert. Really 3-step success, so your blueprint. And the rest of it is very similar to our structure because our prompts were on point. And then here is the final output for the first comment based on what it thinks will be valuable for the audience. And that's it.
Amazing. We had a couple of questions in the chat. Claudia, I was asking, why do you think, so companies like Hootsuite or Jasper, like this is a use case that is being tackled by SaaS companies. What is the difference in building your own system like this? Shouldn't we use standard tools? Like, what would be your response there?
As in, is this the one that Claudia asked?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. What is it? So to me, from my experience, it's because creating high quality content is a very personalized process, and understanding what content works for one business versus another business is hard work, and it takes iteration, experimentation, and personalization. And they're operating at scale, right? So they want thousands and thousands of people to use their system. And with their SaaS model, there's one problem that they can automate and make as efficient as possible. But the moment that problem context changes, then they have to change their core system in order to match the output that the customer is expecting to get that job done. And so this is the first time where we're able to design these more complex and specific outputs for content that I don't believe these large SaaS companies can keep up with. Like, I built a SaaS-like version of this about 3 months ago for LinkedIn, and I gave it away to 10 different people. And because they were seeing it as a SaaS product, they were like, this isn't really giving me the results that I want. Even though I shared like, hey, look, we can modify this. We can, we can, customize this to align with what you need it to be. But because this is such a new concept and they have so many other things going on in their lives, they just said, look, I'm just going to continue doing it that way because AI is not getting me the results that I want. And so even if Hootsuite or Jasper said like, hey, here's a content suite where you have these standard, they would have to be standard prompts, not prompts specifically designed for the outputs and the outcomes of that specific business, then it's just going to be the same vanilla thing that you're seeing on many of these platforms anyway, right? And you see how complex it is to come up with a high quality post with a specific desired outcome. Like, people who aren't into content creation and these kind of content systems aren't going to take the time to learn this stuff, which is why this is specifically designed for people who understand content and understand how these systems can come together to produce the results for their specific clients over the long term. So before, this kind of system would take maybe $100,000 to develop a custom app for, but now it's a lot less because of these low-code systems, because of LLMs, and because the barrier of entry is so low and more people can get involved, which is what makes me so excited about teaching this kind of stuff. Does that answer the question? Cool, great.
Double thumbs up. That's a seal of approval. There was one question from Judith, more on a tactical side, like, why start the post with three times the pin emojis?
Hey, because that seems to be the format that works. And now we can change it, right? So over here, very, very good question. That's a great thing. Like, if we don't like it and we decide, oh, that's dumb, like, let's get rid of it. And I don't know, put 3 other emojis, or like put a downward thing, and then we can replace it. So
But is that a secret hack, Rick, to go viral? If I have my 3 pins emoji, should I post tomorrow with 3 pins emojis?
Try. Let's see what happens.
All right.
I keep the word viral out of my lexicon at all times because it's poison, in my opinion. Should I go ahead and do the tutorial to link up the Airtable?
Yes. Yes. I think you can go faster on the last step. Just show how you would do it and walk people through it, but like connecting the rest.
Okay.
And then for those who are watching, you have the steps outlined in the tutorial. Basically, what Rick's gonna do is close the loop and push that data we've generated, that post and that idea, inside an Airtable base where we can we have an interface so we can review our different posts, and it's much more comfortable than going inside the make scenario and clicking on the bubbles.
Right. So all you need is a free Airtable account. I'm sure that the guys at 9X can hook you up with that as well. As you can see, we have nothing over here. As you open up a new account, they'll give you a few predetermined templates, like, do you want to create an app, or let's do a base? Just skip through all that stuff till you find this page. And then once you're in this page, things are a bit simpler. What we're going to do is in the Notion, you'll find a link to an Airtable base that I have created. And actually, can you put it in in case somebody wants to follow
it again? This is the link right here.
Sweet. We're going to click on that. And we're going to see this 9X exercise base. On the top left hand, we're going to copy the base. And you're just going to add the base to my first workspace. Since if you've never built anything in Airtable, that is what you will have available to you. So over here, you'll see there are 2 tables, an ideas table and a LinkedIn post table. So before we go ahead and link this up, let me proverbially link them up for you. So over here are where we're going to be saving the ideas. And this root of data is going to be put over here. Exit out of this guy. Oops.
Yeah.
Let me refresh this. Exit out of the wrong guy. Here we go. All right. It's going to come over here. And the second one where we're saving the ideas, the LinkedIn posts, are going to be over here in this LinkedIn post table over here. As you can see, hooks, LinkedIn post, and the LinkedIn first comment. And then we're going to link the idea from this to the LinkedIn post. And for the idea, we have the title, we have the brief, and then we have the original idea that we created here in this input section. So we'll go ahead.
One thing, the last startable module you have is not curated idea. We'll change the blueprint, but the other one, it should be the LinkedIn post. So the first branch is the post, but the last module is named curated idea.
Idea ID?
No,
I see.
But this one is not going to just rename it. It's a LinkedIn post. There.
Thank you. Less confusion, the better. Cool. And this is the idea. That's the LinkedIn post. Perfect. Thank you. So we're going to connect our Airtable database. We're going to click onto the module and we're going to create a connection. The connection type that we would like is a token or a key, specifically a personal access token. So if this isn't automatically selected, go ahead and select it over here. And in order to get this key, we'll go over to our Airtable base. We're going to click on the account on the top right. We're going to select account and then scroll down to the API section where we will click on Go to Developer Hub. That is going to give us access to our API key. We will create a token by clicking on the button. I'm going to delete this one so that there's no confusion whatsoever. Going to select the Create Token button. I'm going to name this 9X Workshop. And then the scopes are essentially what you give the application permission to be able to do with the Airtable base. And there are just a few here. We're going to select all of them just to make sure that we have all of our bases covered. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 base schema. And then we don't need any of the advanced developer features. So just these over here. So we want to see data in the records. We want to edit, delete commands, create, see comments, delete, edit comments, see the structure of the base, and then edit the structure of the base as well. We're going to go ahead and select.
Yeah, exactly.
Which base? So all workspaces, right?
You can just select the base itself.
Or
like,
the base itself.
Yes, little
we can
API best
select-
practice. Just give just enough. Just only give what you need.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. And we'll hit create token. We'll copy this bad boy, leave it open just in case you lose it, which has happened to me a few times. And then we're going to paste it in here. Bam.
And it's the same thing once again as what we did with Claude. We give API access. It's like giving your password. And so now it can access the application, not via the graphical user interface, but via the application programming interface.
So this is where it gets a little bit tricky, especially when you're using templates. Essentially, what we've done is grabbed the information that I have created a template about, and it has put it in here, even though it hasn't necessarily mapped the information from this scenario to this module yet. And I'll explain here in a second. Awesome. Thanks, Judith. Thanks for being here.
What you're seeing is what was mapped before, but the 9x exercise base, the table, the records, that is like all this mapping, this is the old mapping. And so if you try to run this, nothing's going to happen because you're not connected to the right one. And so we have to undo this. And this is a very confusing UI. So that's why Rick is going to show you here. It's a very edge case. Like we even have to refresh the connection. Exactly. This is not the right one. I think you have to refresh. Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
No, that's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. Thank you. Good.
Okay. Sweet. And then once we have a cleared module, then we can map these appropriately. So this idea title is a field that correlates to this over here, this idea field, idea title over here, and then content brief and original idea. So we need to select the outputs and place them in the right fields here within our make scenario. So the idea title, and this is why naming these modules is so important, because when you have multiple ones and you have to map them accordingly, it can get a little bit confusing. So idea title, we select over here, and then select the text variable, not the type variable, the text variable. I have done that a few times, and then we didn't get what we needed. Content brief, same thing. Text, and then the original idea, remember, is the idea from the input. So we'll put that one in over here. We'll click OK. Now, this is a bit of an advanced feature, but essentially, within the Airtable base, if you want to link your idea to a LinkedIn post, we need to move the ID of this specific record. Let's go ahead and get rid of that guy. Of this record in order to link it over here into this idea. And the way that we do that is set a variable, call it idea ID, and then place the idea ID in here. And then we'll go ahead and connect this guy, do the same thing over here. And so what this idea ID does is sends this record over to this one so that it can be referenced within this module over here. Because they're in two different routes, what we have over here, this module cannot access information from this route unless it is defined via this kind of mechanism. There are a few other ways to do it, but this is the best. I know this is confusing. Don't let it confuse you. This is one of the things.
Very typical pattern if you have different branches, and branches execute there's a particular order also. So first we run the idea, then we generate the LinkedIn post, and if you need to use anything in the first branch in the second one, this is one way. You just generate create a variable at the end of the branch, and you get it. This is the module before Airtable. You get that information. That's how branches can communicate with each other. Not the most intuitive, but this is how it works.
And this is the kind of stuff that took me literally days to figure out. Like I spent days, if not weeks, trying to understand how do I get information from one route into a different route because I need it for the output that I'm looking for. And you guys just learned it here within 10 minutes so that you can put that in the back of your brain. And this is the kind of thing that we're going to go into the cohort that I'll be leading in the beginning of the year. These kinds of nitty-gritty things that took me forever, we can just teach you right off the bat. All right, we're going to come in here and we are going to link up these variables. So hooks, we're going to put the hook creation. LinkedIn post is this final formatting structure over here. We're going to put it over here.
Yep.
And then the first comment, we're going to link up over here to this text variable. And then the
idea, just if you open it again, if we look at the options we have here, you can see it.
Right.
I can only access, if you close the modules, I can only access within a certain branch what is in that branch. None of the idea title, create content brief, none of that is accessible.
Mm-hmm. So we cannot access any of this information over here.
We can access the variable.
But we can access this variable that we ported over from here to here, over here, the idea. And this ID is what we're going to add over here to the idea section. So we're going to go ahead and map this since it's going to be a dynamic variable. And essentially all that this is a string that says, hey, this record is linked to, this idea record is linked to this LinkedIn post. And then we can be able to navigate which LinkedIn post belongs to which idea so that we can just have a better idea of where the post is coming from and why we're getting the output that we're getting for it. Hopefully that's a theme that you guys are picking up on. It's like figure out what's happening when something goes wrong so you can fix it. All right, so this is it. We're gonna hit save and we're gonna run it.
Always hit save. That's in the tutorial. Like with make, don't forget that step. Don't.
Always. All right, so we're gonna do a different idea.
Tears in pain if you don't press save.
If you don't press save when operating in make, your content creation journey will be more painful. Okay. And then the rest is the same. We'll just go ahead and save. Okay.
And it's
save and then run it. Last time I tested this, I selected one of the wrong scopes. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. But at the same time, this is so much fun. I joke with my friends that I never have to like play Sudoku or like play chess because I do this all day. And it feels like my brain is refreshed when I wake up in the morning because I exercise it. Claudia's skeptical.
No, Claudia has been doing a few of our courses. Claudia is also building.
I love it. All right, here we are. We finished it up. Over here, we can see, we can click over here and look at the original idea that it's mapped. We can look at the content brief that it's mapped. And then over here on LinkedIn, oh, actually for the ideas, you can see over here, here's the idea ID. It got the idea ID over here. It moved it over and then mapped it over here to the idea field. And then we also have the idea record, the LinkedIn post, and so on and so forth. Let's see how it came through here. All right, great. We have new tags over here since we changed them up, which is fun. We can see the idea over here for number 2. Let's see what it came up with. So make one-click saves your entire workflow. Tactical guide to preventing content. We'll just read the first one. Content creation disasters by mastering the save function in Make. Love it. Okay. And then here's the post. Let's see what it came up with. Content creators who lose hundreds of hours because of one tiny digital mistake. Look, content creators, tell me something about saving your work. My goodness, one tiny mistake can destroy hours of energy or effort. There you go. Just from that one idea, it creates something that I'll maybe spend.
It's pretty
maybe
good.
It's 1 minute on editing, and you're good to go. And here's the first comment based on my previous. Oh wow! It actually, I don't know if this is a real link. Don't trust it, but it could work. I don't know. That'd be fun if it was actually working. So anyway, that's it. Only 30 minutes over.
Wow! Thanks a lot, Rick.
My pleasure.
Have one closing slide.
Right. So I've got it over here.
Can I just ask, because I might have missed it. So when you get the link in post into your Airtable, how do you post it then? Do you use Airtable automations or do you have another make scenario for it? Sorry, I missed that. Maybe you've seen.
All good. I have another make scenario specifically for that. So that's what this demo is over here.
Oh,
so
that was that. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So this either sends it directly to LinkedIn to schedule it, if it's been scheduled in Airtable. And then if I don't want to automatically schedule it, it sends me a message in Telegram to say, hey, this is scheduled to go out today. Go ahead and post it manually.
And Rick, your recommendation is to not auto post.
Yes.
Right. Your recommendation is it's better to send yourself a notification. So wherever you like your notification, whether it's on Slack or it's a Telegram message or an email, but that last part, that copy, paste, upload the assets, this is something you should do manually, because otherwise you'll get penalized, especially on LinkedIn.
Yeah, if you're getting started and you want as much reach as possible, if you're at the computer anyway, just do it manually. It makes sense. I create a block of about an hour or two that I'm constantly doing stuff on LinkedIn, and then I just get a notification on Telegram. I do copy and paste, or if I'm on the ferry going back into town or something, I can automatically post and then comment from my phone. So it just makes it a lot more flexible and I'd have to use less brain calories to be consistent.
Well, Rick, that was great. That looks a little bit complicated though. What can we do about it?
Well, let me tell you. So I've kind of been pitching the AI content operator cohort starting January 5. We'll place a link down below in the comments. And I think you have it as well. We can post it here in the chat if you're interested. The very first cohort, I've run many cohorts, not this specific one though. And I'm very, very excited about it. I feel like there's a lot of need for this kind of thing. It'll be 4 weeks long. We're going to go through the basic functions that you need to understand how AI content machines work and how you can start developing them for your own personal needs or for an organization, or if you want to become an AI content operator and design your own design for other clients, then this is going to be the perfect place to start. What took me about a year to figure out, we're going to be able to teach you the basics in about a month. And then from there, it'll be gangbusters. So if you are interested in learning, I'm going to give you 50% off on this first cohort. It's going to be 15 people, and I'm very excited. It's going to be hands-on, very intimate. Every week, we're going to be going through specific lessons, and you're going to get access to all of my freaking templates that I've spent a year building. So bit jealous of you, but this is what we need to do to get the business going. That's what we're going to do. And then second of all, if you want a custom content solution, you look at this and go, hell no, this is dumb. I'm not going to do this. I need to pay someone to do this because it's going to save me literally hundreds of thousands of dollars moving forward, because I don't have to hire 4 different people to do all these functions. Let's hop on a call and figure out. I'll give you a free strategy blueprint for what this process could look like for your business. And then if you like where we can take this, then we can move forward from there. So that's it.
Amazing. And that wraps up our workshop. Precisely 30 minutes later. One last thing, Rick, didn't we have a post supposed to be scheduled?
No, it actually already went. So I got
went.
Yeah. I got the notification over here.
Cut.
Your content is now ready. You can view the post here. So we're good to go. It did the thing.
Thanks for everyone who stayed till the end. We went a bit over time, but when we do, I think the content Rick brought today justified that we went over time, that we took the time to go through some of the steps to really understand how we came up with even the simple tutorial already has a lot of steps. I personally there's a lot of things I'm going to apply, starting with the template that you shared. It was very good to have this session. First time we had an expert there. I think we will have more of these sessions in the future, because it really, really shows how people, once they're given the technical skills and they spend some time experimenting, you come up with amazing things I would have never even imagined building myself. And that's expertise turned into a system. And I think we'll stop there for today. Thank you all for staying till the end. And
appreciate you all.
Next workshop. Thanks a lot, Rick, for the session.
My pleasure. Cheers.
Bye-bye. Ciao. And that wraps up this webinar. If you're watching this in December, there is still time to apply for Rick's cohort that starts in January. If it's in January, it's too late, but maybe he's running other cohorts, so still worth getting in touch with him. If you liked this type of webinar, just know once again that we run these on a weekly basis. Some of them are free, some of them are reserved for our community, but we cover all sorts of topics around AI, how to implement AI in particular functions, from very basic skills all the way down to AI agents, which are going to be the next big thing in 2025. Yeah, so if this is something that you enjoyed watching and you learned a ton, subscribe to this channel, follow us on LinkedIn, and hopefully see you at the next 9X Live event. Cheers.